Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Have you had a good day?
I have. It's been pretty busy. How has your day been?
Same, but that seems to be every day.
Oh, absolutely.
Hi, how are y'all? I'm Miss Womack. I'm a speech language pathologist.
It's so nice to meet you. I am Miss Spice and I am Peyton's deaf educator.
Hi, I'm Miss Hayes and I am Peyton's teacher at TSD.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get this started.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, before the parents come in, I just want to sort of let you know what's going on with Peyton. Peyton is extremely bright. He is so smart. He is deaf, as are both of his parents. He was born deaf, and he is actually moving on into middle school. And his scores, as I said, are exceptional. Absolutely exceptional.
Yes, they are.
He qualifies in the gifted range, and it's wonderful to see that. He has been at Tennessee School for the Deaf for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been there. And so the parents, their concern is, since he is moving into middle school, should they keep him at the residential school or should they change to mainstream school? So we're going to discuss that a little bit. Actually, it looks like they're about to walk in.
I will go grab them.
Okay, great.
Hello, how are y'all doing today? Good. Y'all can have a seat right over here. Hi, how are you?
All right. It's so nice to meet you guys. I'm Miss Hayes, and as you know, I've been Peyton's teacher for a while.
Miss Spiceland, and y'all know me, so.
I'm Miss Womack, and I'm a speech language pathologist for mainstream schools.
Yes. So we wanted to ask you, what are your concerns today with Peyton? Okay, so your concerns are to continue at a residential school or to move on to a mainstream school? That's a really good question. I understand your concerns. We're actually going to let Miss Spiceland take over, and she's going to explain to you the pros and cons of the situation.
Well, as y'all know, Peyton has done exceptionally well on all of his test scores recently. And I know that y'all have expressed concerns in regards to should we keep him in residential school or should we keep him in mainstream. And I think there's a lot of pros and cons we could talk about with that, but you all know that. One thing I know is how valuable the deaf culture is to you all. And that is one major component of the residential schools. And with Peyton having grown up signing his whole life, he will be he's very adequate in that subject. And his oral skills are not as strong as his signing is, which I think is one of the reasons he has been so successful in the residential program. Most of his peers are only reading at up to a 4th grade level, which is a significant difference. And Peyton and I can commend y'all on that because y'all have worked with him so diligently at home, and I think that's a great thing. And I think that's one of the main reasons he's gotten where he has in his education. And so if we take him out of this residential program where he's surrounded by peers who also use ASL and things like that, one of my concerns as a deaf educator is that he might suffer a little bit because he's going to go into a whole new environment where he will be surrounded by hearing peers, and that can be very challenging, and he'll be very dependent on an interpreter to go further along in that. And so I think that's one major consideration that needs to be taken. While there might be more advanced classes offered in the mainstream program, the overall benefit of it with peers might end up hurting his self-esteem and things of that nature. And one thing that's is the No Child Left Behind law. So none of, whether he's residential or he's mainstream, he's not going to be getting a less adequate education. And if he continues on at mainstream, one thing I would encourage you to discuss with the teachers, and I can have a hand in this as well, is talking to them about giving him harder assignments, like really challenging him to like step up his game and seeing what that can get him, because we know how bright he is and intelligent, and that y'all have raised a wonderful son. I've known Peyton and you all for many years now, and so with that being said, residential school has a lot of pros, and I can see why you might consider mainstreaming him, but I would hold out for a little bit longer and see what we can do in regards to if he is still going to be successful in residential school to keep him, because if he's successful there, I don't want to take him out of that environment and might hinder him more in his education. So he is a great kid, I will have to say, but y'all know that.
Yes, I definitely agree, Ms. Spiceland. And also, I have loved seeing him thrive at TSD, and I think he would just do great to continue there.
I agree with you, no doubt.
Yeah. So, can I ask you what other concerns that you may have? Okay, so some more concerns you have are talking about sort of like the deaf culture and where to go with that. That's a really good question, and actually Ms. Womack over here can help you out a lot with that, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her.
Okay. With my experience with children involved in the deaf culture and deaf children going to TSD or being placed in mainstream, I have found them to be more successful in an environment where they're more comfortable and they're around peers who are like them, and they seem to build a sort of higher self-esteem when they're around peers that they can interact with and that they can have conversations with and they can do extracurricular activities with and have communication all the while doing these things. So it's one of those things where you have to consider, if you're going to put your son in mainstream, then he's not going to have as many opportunities as he would at TSD. He might be restricted as far as communication barriers. I mean, even like on the basketball court, I know your son plays basketball. Like TSD, he excels on the basketball court, and he has communication, and a big part of the game is communication, obviously, and that might not be able to happen as much in a mainstream school. And I know that it's so important for children to have if they're deaf individuals, to have friends that are like them. And so I think that's one thing that you definitely have to consider. I mean, wouldn't you?
I would definitely agree with that as well. Absolutely. The extracurricular activities are so valuable to a child's success in school.
And then not even just extracurricular activities, too, like in academics. In the classroom, I mean, I don't know. I've never watched him in the classroom, but what I've heard from them is that he excels far above his other peers and that he is just a star student. And I think that's another thing that could hurt his self-esteem, is if he moves to mainstream, he's not going to be that star student anymore. He will probably still excel, but we don't know for sure that he could be that star student and be in an environment that is best for his academics. And I think he benefits from sign language. He benefits from ASL because y'all have taught him that all of your life. And if he moves to a mainstream school, yes, he can have an interpreter. Yes, he can have services. But he might not get as much one-on-one attention, or he might not get as much interaction with ASL as he would at TSD. So I believe that it would be more beneficial for you to keep him at TSD so he could keep building on that sign language and become like fluent in sign language and just excel in that area. And I mean,
yeah, absolutely agree. Are there any more questions that you guys have for us? No? Okay. Well, we want to thank you so much for stopping by. And I think overall, we would recommend definitely staying at the residential school.
And with all of that being said, for his IEP, ultimately, y'all can have time to think on this before you sign it, and we understand that, wanting to look over, because we understand how important this decision is for your child, and we want to know that we consider that, and we want to respect that for you. But maybe continuing him on in residential school, he will still have speech therapy 2 to 3 times a week, and whatever other services that he might need in addition to that. But definitely speech 2 to 3 times a week, so he continue to work on his oral communication skills, because I know that is important to y'all. Even though the deaf culture is still pertinent to y'all, y'all want him to know a little bit of both. And so continuing on with that 2 to 3 times a week, and then keeping him there, and also recommending that we ask his teachers to give him more diligent work that really challenges him and pushes him to see all the potential that he has, because we know that it's a lot. And that's what we would recommend for him in this part of his IEP. And then we'll come back in about a year and see how he's doing from there. And if he hasn't seen any changes, we will recap on that. And, you know, the mainstream is not out of the question by any means. But right now, as a middle schooler, we feel like continuing him on at residential is going to be successful for him until maybe he gets to high school where he's not in that season of life. But again, that is not a closed door, so we don't want y'all to think that, but we want to know that we value the deaf culture, and we want to respect that with all of you. So with that being said, do you have anything else to say, Ms. Womack?
No, I think y'all touched on all of it.
I just wanted to say that Peyton is a great kid, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, and I will walk y'all out and see you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.